Alright team, so we are back of course with some Final Fantasy VII Remake information. So what we got today is the financial briefing for fiscal year 2020 quarter 3. So the sort of TLDR on this, without going too much into it, they go over the amount of money they made and spent over the last fiscal year and how much they plan on spending and making in the next fiscal year. And the plans for that. But at the end of the financial briefing, there's always a Q&A with Yasuke Matsuda, who is the president and CEO of Square Enix. And that's obviously what we're here to talk about today. A couple of the answers he gives are interesting regarding whether or not the delay of Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to affect Part 2 at all, and also cross-gen, whether or not there's going to be like a PS5 release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So for starters, they ask Yasuke Matsuda, do you anticipate more advertising spending for Final Fantasy VII Remake in fiscal year 2020 quarter 3 or in fiscal year 2021 quarter 3? Also, what sort of promotional initiatives do you plan to focus on going forward? To which he replies, we anticipate spending more in fiscal year 2020 quarter 3 because our promotional initiatives will get underway in the Western markets earlier than in other regions. We'll work to grow digital sales via a variety of promotional efforts involving social media. So this makes a lot of sense to me because fiscal year 2021 quarter 3 for Square Enix is going to be at the end of this year. October, November, December. They're not really going to need to be advertising and marketing the game by then. It's going to be about 6 months old. So it makes more sense to me that they'd obviously spend more on advertising for the game in fiscal year 2020 quarter 3, which was last year, October, November, December. And just to quickly make it clear when it comes to Square Enix, their fiscal year ends on March 31st and begins on April 1st. So their current fiscal year 2020, is coming to an end at the end of March. So fiscal year 2021 is going to begin on April 1st, 2020. It's kind of weird how it works. As for pushing digital sales of the game via social media with promotional efforts, I don't exactly know what that would be. Really, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe the game going on sale like later this year on PlayStation Network, which is obviously where you'd buy it digitally. So here's where we get into the next-gen, cross-gen stuff. So they ask, could you share your thinking on the development of new titles for current and next-generation game consoles going forward? To which Matsuda replies, the next-generation consoles will have backward compatibility. So we plan for the time being to make our new titles available for both current and next-generation consoles. It will therefore be somewhat farther down the road that we release titles exclusively for the next-generation consoles. So this is a point I've been trying to get across for a long time on my channel. I've had this conversation in the comments section 100 times. There's so many people that are so worried that the second game would be PS5 exclusive just because the PlayStation 5 is coming out this year, and I've been saying for a long time that that would not be the case. I did an entire video dedicated to this topic already, but one of the points I put in that video was that Square Enix themselves was still supporting the PlayStation 3 as recent as 2016-2017 with Dragon Quest Heroes 2. The PlayStation 3. That was just a handful of years ago, man. So I've been saying for a while that they'd still be putting out games on the PlayStation 4 for at least a couple more years, like maybe 4 years or something, if not more than that. And some places out there are misconstruing this information into there not being a PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is absolutely not what his answer said. He said that there's going to be games for both generations of consoles for the foreseeable future, and there won't be a PS5 exclusive game for a while. So the point of that is that his answer doesn't rule out the possibility of a PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It just won't be exclusively PS5. It'll drop on both PS4 and PS5 potentially. Or they might keep the first and possibly second game PS4 exclusive, but you just played on PS5 because of backwards compatibility. And lastly, they ask Matsuda, will the change in your release date for Final Fantasy VII Remake impact your development or launch timelines for the next installment? To which he simply replies, no, it will not. So for whatever reason, this part is also making headlines, but it's not really a surprise, because why would this game being delayed affect the other game at all? Because a lot of us believe the game's already done. For one, we know that these people are out there playing like 3 hours of the game or whatever. Like, we assume the game's pretty much done. I personally don't even believe the game got delayed for polish. I'm skeptical of that. Not to mention around E3 of last year, 2019, they announced that they were already working on the second game, which kind of adds to the first game being pretty much done. But even if the game was delayed for polish, that's just them touching up little aspects of the game. It's not really like them still developing the first game for Final Fantasy VII Remake. So the delay would not affect the second game in the slightest. But that also doesn't mean that the second game for Final Fantasy VII Remake won't also have hiccups and delays itself. It's Square Enix, let's be honest here. They stumble with the launch of pretty much every single one of these games. I'm honestly not sure what the last game of theirs was that the launch did not get pushed back further, especially when it comes to their big AAA games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts, Marvel Avengers. So don't expect the second game for the remake project to launch flawlessly. Anyways, my dudes, that's pretty much the video. If I sound sick at all, it's probably because I am. I've been working on my car for the past week. I am not a mechanic. And I was out all morning working on my car in the strong-ass cold wind, so I probably got sick from it. But the good news is my car is running. But anyways, what I do is I pass off to you guys. What are your thoughts on this on next-gen, cross-gen, current-gen, and the delay of Final Fantasy VII Remake not affecting the sequel? Leave your thoughts and more in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay updated with more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @dashingdavid. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Or at least less like